about donuts or something because you don't have a team, this is still relevant to you. Because you still have people that you leverage in your business. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. So don't just think this is just for teams. Okay? This is for all of us. Brand new agent all the way to our teams and groups. So we're going to cover a lot in this short amount of time as usual. As usual, remember shiftproof.com is where you can go to download not only the PowerPoints that we go over, you can also download the workbooks from KW that walk you through all of this in more depth, because obviously this is too much to get through in the time we have here today, as well as some other stuff. So check that out, but we're going to jump right in. So take a minute. What does this say? Somebody read this for me loud. Neil?
Opportunity follows struggle, it follows effort, it follows hard work, it doesn't come before.
What's the aha? Neil can read. What's another aha? I really wish we could have fun at these meetings. So why would we bring this up in the discussion about shift? Why are we talking about opportunity and shift? Is there opportunity in a shift?
Yes.
What does that look like for you?
Really good.
Let's get specific. What does that look like for you?
How is it really good?
You have to prepare for it. And when you take the steps that we're taking now, the shift does not have to be as intimidating as it has been in the past for people, or as you've heard it's been in the past if you've not yet been through one, right? There's opportunity that we can take advantage of, and it starts now, okay? So look at page 37 in Shift. I'm going to reference some page numbers for you. Wanted to read a couple quotes here. So on page 37, Gary says this: a market shift can be an opportunity to evaluate, upgrade, and top-grade your business. An unsolicited gift to the shift. Right? So when we're going through these shifts, it forces us, those that want to be in business long-term and grow our business through the market shift, it forces us to get better at what we do. Right? That's the whole point of what we're saying. So, lessons in shoes and socks. How many people have an idea of what story I'm going to go into right now? Anybody know or follow UCLA basketball? Anybody know a coach named John Wooden? Right? So here's a very brief story. I'm not giving you the whole thing, but here's the point. So John Wooden, if you don't know, he was a phenomenal coach at UCLA. Coached some phenomenal players. Right? Became big NBA stars down the line. Just talented people. And when they first showed up to UCLA for their first practice, right? They're anticipating a ton of hard work. They're excited. They're nervous. They're getting their jerseys. They're walking into the gym. And the first thing he does is what? Tells them to sit down, take their socks and shoes off, and he teaches them for 3 days how to put them back on. Why? Wooden knew that most people would hurry through the basics and the fundamentals because they were in anticipation of what's coming after. He knew that they would skip the little meaningless or seemingly meaningless steps now in order to try to take advantage of what they saw coming later. So he spent countless hours with these guys teaching them how to put on their socks, teaching them how to run, if you read the story, teaching how to run their hands over around their toes and all the way over the back to make sure there's no folds or creases. His reasoning is folds or creases in the socks will create blisters. Not tying your shoes properly could create blisters. And blisters take you out of the game, and taking you out of the game takes me out of business. What's the point in real estate? Don't wear socks, could be one of them. Don't skip the seemingly little things, right? In today's real estate market with technology and all the things coming at us on a regular basis, we're tempted to try to go in 14 million directions at one time. Would you agree? And going into a shift, the whole point of the moral of this story is we need to not lose sight of the most basic fundamentals, because until we've mastered those basic fundamentals, we'll never reach our capacity on the other side. Okay? So this is an opportunity, this is a time to really evaluate our basic fundamentals, how we do the most basic things in our business going into a shift, because if we get those mastered now, we won't have as much problems when we're in the middle of the shift, okay? So there's 6 core competencies of a business, and these I want you guys to look at. We have some worksheets to pass out in a little bit, but there's 6 core competencies from shift that should make up your 20%. What do I mean by the 20%? The Pareto principle, the 80-20 principle. 20% of what you do produces 80% of your results. So, when we're talking about your 20%, your highest and best use, it's these 6 things. Here's what they are. The first one, lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments. Would you agree, yes or no?
Yes.
Number 2, present to buyers and sellers and get agreements. Yes or no?
Yes.
Show buyers and market sellers. Write and negotiate contracts. Coordinate the sale to closing. Manage the money. Those 6 things are your basics. Those 6 things are your socks and your shoes. Okay? And until you've mastered these 6 things, nothing else should matter. That's the whole point of this story. Okay? So out of shift, in Tactic 3, in the book, this is where the foundation for what we're talking about today. 6 core competencies that take you on the path to where you want to go. Okay, so on page 39 in your shift book, he's talking about these 6 core competencies, and he says this: the real mission is to get all of these done in order at the highest level possible with the least amount of what? Resources. So how do I get all of these things done as quickly as possible in this order with the least amount of resources used? Does that sound like a good idea? Now that's going to be different for each of you for all of your businesses, right? Because some of you are solo agents, some of you have teams, some of you have assistants, some of you have groups. It's going to be different for everybody. So there's not a one-size-fits-all, and you have to figure out what that looks like for you and your business. Okay? So, power of leverage. So in the book, in Tactic 3, he talks about leverage, and he talks about 3 main types. The first one is what? People leverage, right? And that answers the question, who is going to do it? Gary says, we talked about it before, if you don't have a maid, you are one, right? If you don't have somebody mowing your yard, who mows it? Right? So people answers the question, who's going to do it? Because if you don't have people leverage yet, or at this point, that's fine. It just means you're the one doing it. Okay? Systems are the second type of leverage. What question do they answer?
How?
How are we going to get it done? Right? Systems can scale. As we add people, systems can grow with our business. And so the systems are what keep us true to our core competencies, those 6 core competencies. They keep our business true to those things, and they allow us to do it in a bigger scale. Okay? And then the third one is what? Tools. And what question do they answer? What will they use to get it done? So who's going to do it? How are they going to do it? And what will they use to do it? Are we good so far? Okay? 3 types of leverage. Keep that in mind because we're going to refer back to it. So here's the question that Gary asks. How do you know when it's time to add people leverage? I get this question all the time. How do I know when it's time to hire my first assistant or my second assistant or a buyer's agent or 3 buyer's agents or a listing specialist, right? As we're going down that path, how do we know? What's the answer? Don't read that yet. What's the answer? Is it the same for everybody?
No.
Why? Everybody's business is different. What do we look at to tell us when it's time? When you know your numbers will tell you when it's time to hire somebody. Because when your revenue is at a point you can afford to bring on leverage in a people form, and it doesn't take away from your net income, what's your business telling you? It's time. Now, if you look at the same revenue and you don't have that luxury yet, what's it telling you? It's telling you it doesn't matter how cool that person is, it doesn't matter how awesome they are, it doesn't matter that they have 4 master's degrees, if your numbers don't tell you that it's time, is it time? It's not time, especially going into a shift. You don't want to make that mistake. So we're going to talk about other ways you can leverage, okay? So at the bottom here, Dave Jenks was the co-author of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. That's who this dude is. He says, look at how you spend your time. This is an activity you all can do. Look at how you spend your time. Which activities make you money? Which activities bring you joy? And if you're spending time on activities that bring you neither, case in point, then you need to think about what? Subcontracting. We're going to talk about that. Now, are you going to like everything you do every part of every day? No. Welcome to the real world, right? So I'm not saying that, and he's not either. What he's saying is, if you find yourself constantly doing things that you both don't enjoy and both don't make you money, you're doing the wrong activities. You're working on the 80%, not the 20%. Okay? So that's an audit you guys have to do on your own because only you know the answers to that question for your business. So, can we pass those out really quickly? Por favor. So what Lauren's passing out again are just some pages out of the workbook that you can download the full piece of, right? I don't want to print all of those for everybody because it's a ton of paper, but we've got some key pages on here, and we're actually going to stop, and you guys are actually going to kind of go through and write some of this down, so this isn't just knowledge for knowledge's sake, okay? So as those are being passed out, here's what you're going to do on the very first section. You're going to write down the answers to the following questions on that page. First question is what? Which of your activities are the most dollar productive? Okay. Second question, which activities in your life, or from the above list, bring you joy, or do you like? Okay. So 2 questions. We're not going to take very much time, but take a few seconds right now and just memory dump. Take it out of your head and put it on paper. Which of the activities that you do most are dollar productive? And of those, which ones do you actually like? Okay? I'll give you a couple seconds to do that. Okay. What are we seeing on our top line? What are your ahas so far?
They're the same.
That's good. That's between you two. Okay. So, which of the activities are the most dollar productive? What should be on this list if it's not? Listings, lead generation, absolutely. You get it, right? Your 20% activities, the 6 core competencies, right? Now, which activities from that list do you like? Because will you like all of those activities? Does that mean that you don't get to do them until you have people leverage? You have to do them still, right? So you get to a point where you are able to afford to hand those to somebody else. Until then, who's the maid? You are, okay? That's just the way this works. So use this exercise. Again, we just did it for 30 seconds here. That's not going to be enough. You guys really need to take this back and look at it for your own business. But that's the point of this exercise. Really stop and think about that. Now, there's 2 types of people leverage. This is not in this tactic. This comes from a mastermind with Gary. Okay, there's 2 types of people leverage. What are they? Part of it's in your tactic. People directly employed by you, and people who are not directly employed by you. So what would examples be? Somebody employed by you would be likely what? Transaction coordinator, administrative assistant, something like that, right? They're on your payroll. You've agreed for so many hours of work, you're going to write a check for this much every month, okay? People not directly employed by you, what would be an example? Title company?
Who said that? Who said that?
Lenders, right? Okay, so you get the point. Lenders are just as much a part of your leverage as a paid staff person, or should be, right? You should see them as such, because they're an integral part of you closing deals, especially when the market tightens up. Would you agree? Okay? Having that relationship with your lender is really important because you can get heads up on things like he shared this morning to know what's coming to put yourself ahead of your competition. Okay? So those are the 2 types of leverage. Now here's the key here. There's a couple different ways we can get to leverage. We're going to talk about the path in a set. So change the way you do your business. This is a big struggle for a lot of agents because when we get into this business, we're coming in with the entrepreneurial drive, right? We want to light the world on fire. We want to sell $1 billion worth of real estate, and we're going to do it by ourselves. And then we get into that, and for those of you that have been in it for a while and sold a lot of real estate, you realize really quickly that that just kind of, you could say it,
Blows.
that kind of sucks, right? It totally does. Why?
It's a lot of work.
You're trading time for money. Okay? Now in life, we're always trading time for money. There is no getting around that. You're always trading time for money. So when you're by yourself, you're trading your time because you don't yet have the money to leverage that off the people. And when you generate the revenue needed, you can then trade some money to buy back some of your... You see how this works? Okay, and that can be for all different kinds of leverage. But the whole goal is getting you to go, or a mindset to go from a mindset of, I do it, to what? We do it, right? And that can be hard for a lot of us because some of us are control freaks, right? I love you still. But some of us are control freaks and we have a hard time letting go of these pieces. And in reality, for those of you that have been through this exercise, you find out really quickly on the other side that those people are better at that stuff than you are. Right? But it takes a lot of us some time to process that and get comfortable with the fact that our clients don't care about just working with us. They care about working with somebody that represents the same standards we represent. Okay? So that's a mental journey you have to go on. So this is the path to leverage. Everyone starts out over here with what? I do it. Right? Then we maybe hire an administrative assistant or a transaction coordinator. We get to what? We do it, and we start staffing up through people leverage, and maybe buyer's agents, maybe a listing specialist, and the whole goal being getting to what? They do it. The whole goal should be getting you to the point where you don't have to show up one specific day and the business still operates without you. That's the goal. Now that doesn't take a certain number of people, it doesn't take a certain amount of business, that's different for every person, and the whole goal should be that the business should not just be dependent upon you being here every single day. Would you guys like that?
Yes.
Right, that's what we're talking about. And the shift is an awesome time to be able to find talent that will help you do this. Why? Why would a shift be a great time to help you find talent for some of these roles?
The shift will cull the herd. You can see who's ambitious and who's not.
Absolutely. So it separates the wheat from the chaff, right? You see those who get it, who are working, and those who are maybe struggling. You also find people who realized very quickly that a high market and a good market was making them look a little bit better than they actually are, and it humbles some people, and it might be an opportunity to grab those people, pull them into a system, and give them some tracks to run on and let them go. Okay? So this path to leverage is not a quick one, it's not an easy one, but it is one that all of you will have to go down at some point if you don't want to be just an I-do-it business. Okay? It's a really, really important piece. So this is in the packet that you can download. I know it's hard to see. I'll walk you through it very briefly here, but it's a really good test or gauge for you for your business. So it starts up here and talks about when do you know, or what do you do with people leverage. So the first question up here is, do you have people to help you? Yes or no? If you do you have enough? If you don't, get leverage. Use allied resources, subcontract, add staff, so on and so forth. It walks you all the way through to you either have the right people, you don't have the right systems, or you don't have the right people. And it walks you through the process of answering all of those questions. Okay? So for those of you that actually have people on your team, this is a great exercise again to go through because it walks you through without any emotion and forces you to answer these questions. Okay? Because what do we know in a high market in terms of performance of team members? What does a high market tend to mask?
Weaknesses.
Weaknesses. In us, in team members, in systems, in tools, in everything. Right? In a busy, crazy, fast-paced market like we're in, it masks a lot of evils. Right? So when we get really real with ourselves and our business going through an exercise like this, we see very clearly, do I have the right people? Not just team members, but allied resources, lenders, title company people, inspectors, all your preferred vendors. You want to go through this now before everyone else goes through this process after the shift happens, because you want to make sure that you have the right people on your bus before you go into it. Okay? So the team concept. How many people know what the team concept is? Do you guys know we're a team company here? 3 people did. Okay, so Keller Williams has a model for teams, right? Now again, teams can look different. We have some teams in the company, overall big company, that can be 2 people. And there are other teams that have hundreds of people, right? So there's no one-size-fits-all model here, but the team concept, the reason KW is so big on the team concept is because it promotes leverage, okay? One person can't do it all. So the next page on the handout that you guys got says who's on your team. Now again, for those who don't have a team, don't think about donuts. This is for you too, because you have people. This is where you get creative and think of who is on your team. If you're a solo agent, you have a team of people around you. If you're a team, you have those people plus people on your team. So take 30 seconds and jot down on that page who is on your team. Because before we can go through the exercise of seeing if they're effective or the right fit, we have to know who the heck they are. So take some time, put those people down on paper, who they are, if it's vendors, who they are, what company they're with, but write those people down. Okay, what'd you come up with? How many people? Shout some numbers out. Okay. I would be willing to bet any of you quite a bit of money that if you took 5 minutes and did this exercise, you could come up with a pretty full list. Right? Because some of the people we don't really readily think of, because again, we're in the middle of the chaos and it's happening all around us and we've forgotten. Take time to go through this exercise, okay? Another helpful tip, we don't have time to go through today, but it's on pages 42 and 43. It's called the 7 Steps to Talent Shift. It's in your shift book, okay? So this guides you through a process, a very simple, it's a system, a very simple process to go through when you see a shift is occurring to walk through with those people. How do we take our team and our allied resources through the shift? It gives you the steps, okay? So check that out. We don't have time today, but we will. We will talk about it again. So leveraging your allied resources. Examples of allied resources. I've already given you some. What are some more? Inspectors. Photographers. Lenders. Appraisers. Handymen.
Stagers.
Stagers. Lawn care people. Right? Think about how, what's that?
Surveyor.
Surveyors, absolutely. Think about how big this really can get. Right? When people come to you and they say, who do you know that does this? If you don't have an answer, how does that make you look? Right? And are they going to come back to you asking for that type of information again? So it's worth taking the time to figure out who these people are, not only for you, but for your clients. Okay? But we really want to leverage these people. So then they talk about subcontracting your way up. What do they mean by this?
You hire people to fill a specific need without having to permanently hire.
Absolutely. You're hiring to a task, not a role. Okay? So you're subcontracting. You're taking a bigger piece of a job and you're hiring out pieces of the whole. Okay? So I don't want to have to commit to a whole admin right now. That's fine. What pieces can I subcontract to somebody? Right? Maybe transaction coordination, maybe photography. Whatever those pieces are, staging. But figure out what those pieces are for you and your business that you could start subcontracting now. And a lot of times agents are really surprised at how inexpensive that whole game really is when you take it little bits and pieces like that. You don't have to jump into a full-time system. Okay? So question, where do you find professionals who are looking for part-time, per transaction, or short-term assignments? What do you think? So we just talked about those people. Where would you find them?
It's the people that you know who they know. You can ask for recommendations.
Your sphere of influence. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, where else? Craigslist, absolutely.
Google and call them and interview on these.
We as a company just got some more help for weekends, and he's going to Harvard in October? August?
End of August. Wow.
Now there's a person that's short term, but guess what he was looking for? Weekends and short term. Right? And where did that come from? A temp agency? Okay, so there's lots of places. Don't buy your own lie that you can't find people to do small jobs or a few hours or weekends. People are always out there looking for opportunity. Okay, once you define what that opportunity is going to be. Virtual assistants. How many people have virtual assistants in here? Anybody? Okay. Talk to us, Andrew.
Just he loads different things that would take 2 or 3 people several hours. It's a lot cheaper.
Ton less expensive.
Yeah.
Right? And I've even heard some people talking to Ben Kinney. Who else was telling us? Josh Bath from Canada. A number of them they have VAs that actually will change their, because they're obviously the other side of the world a lot of times, they'll change their days and nights to be on the same time zone as the people that they work for.
Wow. when they do specific tasks.
Absolutely.
So you can really narrow.
Absolutely. So virtual assistant is another way that you can get into that leverage game without being overly committed to somebody. Okay? So look into that. Next spot on your handout. There are 4 questions here, and we're not going to have time to go through them today, but I want you guys please to take the time to go through and do this, because the only person that's going to hurt if you don't is who? You, right? It's not going to matter to me one way or the other. It's not going to impact me. It will impact you. 4 questions that need to be answered. Are you ready to subcontract professionals to help you with specific needs? Is your business able to support the decision at this time? Meaning, is there enough what? Money, right? Number 3, which tasks will you look to contract out? You can start small. And number 4, who do you know who can help you address these needs? Okay, like we've talked about multiple times, I've seen people right under agents' noses that had not yet thought of or had never even thought to think of that could be perfect fits for this specific role, or taking this piece of the puzzle. Because with technology, how much of it has to be done here at the office? Not much. Right? A lot of it can be done remote. Okay? So hire the best. The hiring is where most agents make their biggest mistake. And I will not name names because I love you all. And we've had lots of conversations about this. And we've had lots of conversations on how to hire and then how to de-hire, because the agents skip this step. Same way basketball players were skipping socks and laces, what do agents always shortcut? Always. And I'm saying that intentionally. Always shortcut. What process? The hiring process. Always. Every time. We follow the process because if it's not good for us, then it's not good for you. And I've heard from a lot of you joking and saying, man, you guys take forever to hire somebody. Guess what? We don't have to de-hire a lot of people. Right? So you can either take the time on the front end, or you get to have a lot of fun on the back end, and then you get to make lots of interesting enemy connections because you had people that came in under one pretense and left under a completely different one. Right? So the hiring process is where most agents skip. Now, why do they skip? It's hard, and they're busy, right? It's time consuming. The market's crazy. I don't want to take time. I don't want to take a step back and slow down to go through a process and learn about somebody's life story and the dog named Fluffy and all this other stuff. I don't want to go there. Well, guess what? Going there saves you a ton of money in the long run because time is what? Money. So be careful here. Don't skip this step. We offer free disc assessments through the company. Jennifer can send those out to anybody that you're looking to bring onto a team in any capacity. We pay a monthly subscription and you guys get access to that. Okay? Utilize those tools. Jennifer and I can meet with those people with you to validate the disc. We can then meet with you to go over what kind of a fit may they be based on their behavior for the role you're looking for. Okay? So it's not complicated, it's just time involved. Okay? So don't skip that step. There's a lot of people smiling. Okay. This is also for reference for you guys. The hiring path is another one most people skip because it's really sexy to have buyer's agents, and people kind of sometimes forget that the model says there are how many admins before you get there? 2. Okay? That's on page 202 of MREA. If you want a visual reference, it's also on a poster in the agent lounge. Right? But it gives you the entire map of the hiring process, who to hire, what order, and so on and so forth. Okay? And then the fun question you get to ask as a business owner is what? Do I have the right people? And that's not just employees, that can be vendors. Okay? Am I working with the right people? Are my vendors too busy? Are they busier than they were? Has their standard of service changed since I first started working with them? Right? Questions to ask of all the people that work with you. And then we talked about the behavioral fit. We can have a great person in a wrong role for their behavior, and how will they perform? They won't perform. They won't be happy and you won't be happy. Okay? It's got to be a behavioral match. So then you have to decide, do I need to top grade or de-hire? What's top grading? A couple of you read that book in here. It was an awesome book. She gave it to me when I first started. It's like that thick. She's like, did you get it read? I'm like, oh yeah. So I read the Cliff Notes, honestly. So I know the Cliff Notes side of it. What is top grading?
So that told me a little bit about his behavior, didn't it?
That is behavior, right? What does that tell us, though? What is top grading? Top grading is taking a group of people, and what is societal norm? Do we raise the bar or lower it? Societal norm is that we lower it. You don't have to look too far to see that happening all around us, okay? So instead of challenging and stretching people and raising the bar, our natural reaction is to lower it. Top grading is the exact opposite. Top grading is looking at these people and giving them grades, saying this person in the MREA calls them cul-de-sac talent, meaning they're not going any further than here. And then capacity talent, which talks about the shift tactic 3 here, meaning they can go a lot further, they can handle a lot more, right? I can grow with them and they can grow with me, right? Again, the onus is on you to do that honest analysis of your people. And then it comes down to the people I have, are they doing the right what? Things, because guess what? They have 80-20 things just like you do. Would you agree with that? Okay? And this is my favorite one. If you have people working with you, what does a shift require you to do even more than ever? Lead them. Okay? If you have a business, if you're being honest with everyone in the room, and you don't have to look at each other, you can just look at me and like do this. But if you're being honest, is a shift still somewhat intimidating even if you know it's coming? If it's that intimidating for you and you know it's coming, how intimidating is it for the people below you on your organizational chart? Guarantee you it's scarier for them, right? So that's an opportunity to step up your leadership ability, your leadership skills, and lead people through the shift, okay? It's an opportunity. There's a word about systems. Systems are how you get the job done, tools are what? So look at both, okay? And we're going to close on this. Tony, you take that one down. Technology, this is where I wanted to close. Technology is a fantastic tool, and there are great technological systems. Would you guys agree with that? Technology also can be a black hole for productivity. Would you agree with that? So I want to caution you again, because what happens every time something changes in our industry in terms of technology companies? To jump into the next big thing, and the next shiny object, and the next silver bullet, the next potion that means I'm going to be a millionaire without having to show up to work, and the next all of this stuff. And reality, what do we have to simply go back to? Tying our shoes and our socks. Okay? Any questions on Tactic 3? Okay, so visit shiftproof.com. You can download the workbook, the full workbook, and the PowerPoint, because there's a lot more than I was able to get to today. But valuable information, so definitely take some time to look at it. Okay? With that, let's do haves and wants.